Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I wanted to talk to you about doing things alone and why I think it's important knowing how to be in your own company. And I wouldn't say that I'm the wildest, craziest adventurer out there, but I've done my fair share of solo journeys. I lived in a van for a while, I did motorbike trips, I house sat for strangers around the world, solo hikes and wild camped. So I think I can, I have a few things to say on the topic. I feel like in today's society, and I mean, maybe it's always been this way, but that if you're doing things on your own, you're seen as a failure because you haven't found anybody that wants to do those things with you. And that makes of you a loser, which I could not disagree more with this view. And I think that most of you will not think this way either. Otherwise you wouldn't be following me. But I think that taking charge of your own needs and wants is so exhilarating. And I know that I can do the things that I want to do and I'll have a blast, whether somebody else joins in or not. Also, let's be honest, we are not all lucky to have friends or partners that enjoy exactly the same hobbies as us. Or maybe you're in a new area and you don't have friends. Should that stop you from doing the things that you enjoy doing? No! Also, by doing things alone, I don't mean that you need to travel the world or sail across the Atlantic by yourself. It could just be exploring your nearby town or going for an art exhibition by yourself. Everybody has different limits and different situations. But I think that the thing that you think is going to make you a little bit uncomfortable, that is the thing that you need to start with. The main reason why I think everybody needs to learn how to enjoy their own company and doing things alone is that it makes you less reliable on other people. And hear me out. I'm not saying that you don't need people. We all need people. But if you are able to be on your own, you're gonna choose the right people to be around you. Sometimes we stay in a relationship or stuck with friendships that are not really good for us because we are afraid of being alone or that we're not gonna have that person anymore to do the things that we wanna do. And once you're like, actually, I'm fine on my own, you can get rid of those people and then you're gonna attract people that really vibe with you. And I always say, better alone than with bad company. So you might have a period where, yes, you are feeling less surrounded by people, but that is just a stage. Doing things by yourself grows your self-esteem and confidence in your own abilities. Even if you start really small, you're gonna soon see that it builds up and you'll soon feel like you can pretty much do anything that you put your mind to it because of that knowledge that you've done it before and you were able to do it. And it's like a muscle, you need to exercise it. This one I feel very strongly, which is the way that you experience the world when you are on your own is very different than how you experience when you are in company of other people. And I'm not saying that either of those is bad, it's just very different. When I have traveled with other people, I have been more concentrated on the relation itself than the place where I was. It's like you create your own bubble and it's like a protection thing that you have when you are with other people. It's like you against the world. Whilst when you're by yourself, it's more permeable. I feel like you're more attentive to what's around you. You pay more attention and in a way you're kind of more open. I feel like when I'm by myself, I'm more likely to strike up a conversation with strangers. I'm also more likely to ask for help. It's just a very different experience. And if any of you has traveled on your own, I'm pretty sure that you know what I mean. When you are by yourself, you can be selfish, which I know it has a bad connotation being selfish, but actually in this case, I think it's a good thing because especially for people that are used at taking care of other people and putting others first, it can be hard to kind of know what you really want and really stop and figure out, is what I'm doing actually what I want to be doing, or am I doing just because everybody else is doing this? And when you're by yourself, you kind of have to sit with your own wants and figure out what you need and act on it, because nobody else is gonna do it for you, and there's nobody else asking you stuff or like telling you what to do. And it's a really good skill to have, especially for people with people-pleasing tendencies, which I know it's a lot of us. And also, once you get this skill, you can apply it in group settings, and you can speak up on what you actually want. As for practical tips, I wanted to start with safety, because I know it's the one that comes up the most in conversations, and as I see questions like those in my comments. And I'm gonna start with a disclaimer, okay? I am a woman, so my experience is gonna be heavily influenced by this. Also, I am white, I am able-bodied and fairly young, so obviously my experience is gonna be different to people with other situations. Most of my travels have been in Europe, which is fairly safe. Obviously, the precautions that you need to take will be very different from on where you're traveling and how. But here I'm going to be talking more about the concept of safety. I've spoken about this in the past, but I really think that safety is an illusion. We aren't safe anywhere, and we are also safe everywhere. What our brain does is that it doesn't necessarily focus on the thing that is statistically more likely to happen. It focuses on the thing that feels the scariest to us. To give a silly example, how many people are afraid of flying, but they might just jump in the car 3 times a day without thinking twice about it, although the stats of dying in a plane crash are 1 to 11 million, and dying in a car crash are 1 in 5,000. So, but of course, when we think of a plane crash, it sounds much more dramatic and scary and panic-inducing. You are more likely to die by having an accident driving your lawnmower that you are being attacked by a bear, a shark, or an alligator. And I often think of this like it's much more likely that I'm gonna really hurt myself by doing anything DIY in my house or by choking on a carrot than by being attacked by a stranger somewhere in the mountains. Of course, if you are somewhere remotely where there are no people in reach, that does make you more vulnerable if something bad was to happen. I'm not saying the opposite. However, the likelihood of something bad happening to you is often where there are a lot of people, more likelihood of bad intentioned people. And I hear sometimes people saying like, oh, yes, but if I know that there's people around, it's more likely that they're gonna help me. I don't know if that's true. How many times have you heard of bad things happening in plain sight in streets or like in alleyways, or even, stuff happening just in flats where there's people living on top, on the bottom, and on the sides, and nobody heard anything, or if they did, they just didn't care or they didn't think any of it. So I don't think that having people around necessarily makes you safer in case something happens. I know this sounds a little bit pessimistic, but it is kind of the truth, especially now with people being less connected to each other and with the sense of community not being as strong as it used to be. And so when my brain starts thinking of the worst case scenario, I always think, am I basing my thoughts on actual facts, or am I just thinking of the thing that scares me the most? Of course, this doesn't mean that you should be taking stupid risks, and there is a variety of precautions that you can take depending on the activity that you want to do. But I think it's good to kind of recalibrate this concept of safety. And also, at the end of the day, I always think if I was to have an accident in the mountain, yes, it would suck, but at least I would have died just doing something that I enjoyed, and I would much prefer that than living a comfortable life until I'm 90, but be full of regrets. And at the end of the day, this is a choice. Okay, so we discussed staying safe in the real world, but do you ever think about protecting yourself in the virtual world? Lately, I've been receiving so many spam calls. It's been super annoying. It's mainly fake insurance companies and automated messages threaten me of legal action over something unclear. I got curious as to why I started receiving so many phone calls all at once, and I found out that our personal data is collected and sold off all the time without us even realizing. data brokers collect information such as your name, your address, your phone number, your email address to create a personal profile that is then sold off to other companies. Those are mainly used for marketing purposes, but they can also land on the wrong hands, leading to spams and identity theft. I even found out that now scammers can use AI to mimic the voice of your loved ones to trick you into sending them money, and they do that solely relying on voice data that they found online, which is so scary. And there's nothing you can do about it unless you sign up for Incogni. Data brokers are required to remove your data from the lists when you ask them to, but doing that by yourself is pretty much impossible. Incogni reaches out to data brokers on your behalf, requests that they remove your personal data and handle any of their objections. And the whole process is automated. All you need is to sign up and enter the information you'd like removed. Once you give them permission to work for you, you can sit back and let Incogni do what they do best. In only a few weeks, Incogni was able to remove my data from 42 data brokers, and it will keep on working without even me thinking about it. Keep yourself and your family safe online and start using Incogni today. You can use the code WildChickGoes at checkout to get 60% off your annual plan. Back to the tips. One thing I wanted to mention is anxiety and how to deal with that, because I also get anxiety when I think of travels that I want to do or experience that I want to have. And I find that the more I let the thought ferment in my head, the more my brain will start telling me all the reasons why I shouldn't be doing that thing. And so my trick is to either you do the thing that you want to do straight away, if it's an easy thing. Let's say you just want to go to the cinema by yourself, you do it as soon as you can without overthinking it. And if it's more of a long-term thing, or it's like a 6-month thing or a year thing, then you want to plan now. So maybe you'll book your tickets, maybe you're taking time off for your whatever it is that you want to do, your travel, and you make a list of the things that you will need for that. You prepare in advance, and then you totally forget about it and try not to think about it until it's time to go. And if you feel like your brain is acting up and your anxiety is bubbling, then you can just say out loud, "Brain, thank you for worrying about us. I know that you just want us to keep us safe, and that your danger sensors are all coming up because I am planning on doing something that is a little bit out of line. Right now, there's nothing to worry about. You can just chill." When the time comes, you gotta do what you said you would do, with the knowledge though that you can always abort the mission if it's too much. So if you said, "I'm gonna go and have a meal by myself at the restaurant that I've been wanting to go for a while," you go there, you force yourself to go there and to have a seat. You order a drink, but if it's too much, you can always come back home. I think that 99% of the times, once you get there, you're gonna realize that it's not as scary as your brain made it to be, and that it's actually quite enjoyable. If not, if it's too bad and it feels unbearable, then at least you learn something. You learn that that is too much, and the next time you're gonna go for an easier, more accessible goal. Also, you might often hear the phrase "follow your gut," and it's something that I also strongly believe in, following your gut, because they say that your gut is like the second brain, and it's actually the more animalistic brain, so it kind of reacts to stimuli that maybe consciously you're not even realizing. So that is a very good tip to have, but sometimes I feel like it's hard to distinguish between anxiety and gut instinct. So for me, anxiety is more of a feeling that builds up with time, and it's based on information that I have, and it's based on fear. Whilst a gut instinct is more of a sudden feeling, and it's not necessarily based on information you have around you. It's just something that you can't really explain and that you feel. And that is my way really of distinguishing the two. Also, staying on the topic of anxiety, be careful of not letting other people's fears and anxiety become your own. I feel like I'm definitely guilty of this, because in general, I feel like I wouldn't say I'm a fearless person. I have my fears, but I'm quite chill. But then if I start talking to other people and they tell me all the things that could go wrong, I'm like, wait a second, I didn't think about that. Maybe they are right. It happened just at the start of this year when I had secured a few house sits in the UK, and I was so excited about them. And then through conversations with people, they would tell me like, is it safe? Like, you don't know those people, you just go into their house, you never met them. What is this platform, that's like this online platform trustworthy? And I started being like, maybe they're right. And I nearly canceled one of the house sits because of this, because I've had like those fears coming up. And I'm so glad I didn't, because at the end of the day, it was great. And those were fully their projections and not my own fears, but I kind of made them mine. And don't get me wrong, like, those people want what's the best for you, and especially the people that love you, if they tell you their fears, is because they want you to be safe. And so I wouldn't say it as a bad thing, but just be wary of that. And if you have like something that you would like to do, maybe don't tell the people that you know are gonna burden you with all their fears. Maybe tell the people that you know are a little bit more chill and are gonna be more like supportive of you and your ideas. And the same concept goes for media. Like, honestly, the more news you watch, the more the world is gonna feel like a scary place. And so I would say, maybe if you are feeling a lot of fears, then try and avoid watching the news for a little while and see if it makes any difference. So where do you start? Obviously, everybody has a different baseline. Some people are scared of even just going for a drive by themselves. Some people are used like going for long, like 2-week hikes solo. So it's very different. It depends. It's very personal. But I would say start with the smallest thing that you can think of that it's making you uncomfortable. Even if it's just going for coffee by yourself, or going for a weekend away somewhere, and then start building up from that. Even when people ask me about the van, like, how do you feel safe sleeping in the van? It feels very weird and I feel very scared and I don't sleep well. I would always say, like, start by sleeping in your vehicle in front of your house or flat. And then when you feel comfortable with that, then you can move to another place that you know, maybe in front of a school or in front of your office, I don't know. And then once you feel comfortable with that, then you can move further and further away until you're basically gonna be fine sleeping pretty much anywhere. And as I said, it is like a muscle and you have to build it up. Another worry that is quite common to have is the fear of judgment. What will people think about me doing the things alone that are normally done in pairs or in groups? And I feel this is culture as well. It's not the same everywhere. But let me reassure you that people are so concerned about themselves that they seldomly will pay any attention to you. And if they do, if they judge you for any reason, it's because probably they wouldn't be able to do what you do. They feel very uncomfortable at the thought of doing things on their own. And so they feel like they need to project into you and put you down. And do we care about the opinion of those people? No. When I go places and see somebody by themselves, especially if it's in places where it's not common to see that, I always think they're so cool. They must be so self-assured and confident, and it's probably a nice person to have a conversation with, and they probably have a nice life story. This is what I think anyway. Maybe it's not always true. And also something else that I think is, it has happened to me, and I'm sure it has happened to you as well, where you are in a really nice place or you are at an event you were really looking forward, but you were with a friend or with a partner that made you miserable. So think about that the next time that you see people around you and you think everybody's happy. Most of them probably are happy, but many of them are likely faking it. This tip can be applied to so many different areas of life, but I feel it's particularly important here, which is, do not compare yourself. I know that it's super easy to do, especially now with social media, and we see what other people are doing and stuff, but we just don't know how people got to where they are and why they are there. Like, often when people are doing really cool, incredible, crazy, wild stuff, it's because they're either going through a heartbreak, they are dealing with huge amount of grief, or they just feel like there's no meaning in life, and so they need to find something that is like makes them feel alive. We just don't know what's going on in people's life. We don't know what's behind the curtain. And I feel like the only person you can really compare yourself to is your past self. That is the only comparison that makes sense. The last topic I wanted to discuss is, sometimes people will say, I just don't enjoy doing things on my own. I have a great group of friends and I just rather do things with them than being by myself. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But are you putting off things that you would like to do because you cannot find people to do it with? Is there anything that you are avoiding? Are you using social contact to distract yourself from things that you want to think about? It might not be the case, but those are all interesting questions to ask. And also, you might think that you will not enjoy, for example, spending a weekend alone by yourself, but have you ever done it? You might find that you really enjoy it, or likewise, you might think you will really enjoy a 6-month travel to South Asia by yourself and then come back and be like, actually, next time I would like to have somebody with me, and that is fine. But at least now you've done it, you've done the experience, and you know that it's just a preference and it's not something based on fear. Okay, so I hope that after watching this video, you'll feel a little bit more empowered at doing things on your own. And if you're already an expert at it, then please feel free to leave any tips in the comments down below, especially if you live in another place that is not Europe. I think that would be really useful. And don't forget to go ahead and check out Incogni. I will leave the link in the description bar, and I shall see you the next time.